the storytelling and role-playing possibilities of that is really lovely.
About it, because as a player, I love telling stories about my game. Fan.
Your storytelling, so how would you use that to tell stories?
Lately, there's been a little unrest in the whole Minecraft landscape. The decisions Mojang is making and the quality of the last few updates have a lot of people unhappy. And the mob vote ain't exactly helping. 1.20 rolled around and turned out to be Trails and Tales, and it updated the Trails and the Tales. One good thing I can say about this update is that they at least held up with their promises. Nothing got removed or delayed for stupid reasons. That seems like it should be the bare minimum, but whatever. It's still a step in the right direction. In this video, I'm going to get into how they went about making this update and whether it was good. I want to try to make these Minecraft update reviews for every update in the future, so let me know if y'all like that idea.
You did that! You! For shame!
I'm trying to get a good all-around assessment of this update, so I'm going to be judging it in 3 categories. The content, obviously the individual features being fun is pretty important. The impact, how does this update affect the game overall, and does it change the meta in a positive way? And lastly, there's execution. How well did they go about releasing the update? Did they add all the features they showed? Did they build up hype well? That sort of thing. So I think it's good to start with the actual content of the update. I'm going to go over all the features, and then at the end I'm going to give a score based on how fun they are and if they improve the game. Starting with bamboo wood. Nothing really changed since the announcement of the update. I like it. It's just a new, nice set of wood, and it gives bamboo more uses, which, I can't complain about that. One thing that's been said ever since the cave update came out is that the sculk sensor needs some work. So this update that came out with the calibrated sculk sensor, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care about sculk. I'm not a redstone guy, but essentially it's a sculk sensor that you can calibrate to only react to certain vibration levels. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that can make the sculk sensor create the same redstone output level, so it's not really useful to make it react to specific things. So it doesn't really fix the sculk sensor, but I guess it's cool. The cherry blossom biome. This was not expected, but hey, it's nice to have a new wood set. I don't know how much I'll be using a pink colored wood, but it still looks good. As for the cherry grove biome, it's fine. I hear a lot of people say the biome feels empty, which I somewhat agree with. It's definitely missing something. I also don't really understand why they made it a mountain-specific biome. It would be nice to have a low-ground variant in the future. But overall, it's a nice new biome. I love the way the leaf particles fall off the trees. It looks super cool. Chiseled bookshelf. Now this is a good feature. It's simple. It's just a bookshelf you can actually put books in, and it's a fun new way to store books. I think a couple quality of life features would be nice though. Like having your crosshair on an enchanted book would actually tell you on your hotbar what enchantment it is. That would make it a lot easier to find specific books that you stored without having to take it out and putting it back in and stuff. Alright, next I'm going to talk about one of the aspects of archaeology, the pottery sherds and the decorated pots. I'm going to talk about archaeology as a whole later, but for now I'm going to just talk about the pottery. Now the concept of customizable pots is fun, and it's something we've been waiting for since Caves and Cliffs was announced. There's tons of designs you can make with these sherds, and there's some fun ways you can implement them into your builds. But the problem is, the sherds are pretty darn scarce for what's just a decorative item. While a small part of me likes the idea of these being rare items that you can show off, I can definitely get why you would want these sherds to be duplicatable like the smithing templates. As for the decorative pot itself, I can't help but think that there was so much more they could have done with this. Look, I get it's literally called the decorated pot, but it could have had some sort of functionality besides just being for looks. It doesn't even hold flowers. When this tiny old pot added in 2012 has more of a use than its new cousin, that's a problem. One idea I've seen that I like is having it so the decorated pot can hold the double tall flowers like the rose bushes. Also, it would have been cool if we could store items inside of them, even if it's a small amount. Maybe they can work like bundles and let you store a stack of random items. But at the end, what we got was just another strictly decorative item. It's sad because there's so much they could have done with it. Update. So, in a snapshot, they actually made it so you can store a stack of items in the pot. But like, the update came out 5 months ago. What took so long to give it a functionality? I don't know. I think it's a little ridiculous, but it's cool, I guess. At least it has a bit more of a use. Alright, so now for more archaeology stuff. I want to talk about the trail ruins. I was hesitant at first to be harsh on archaeology because it has a lot of potential. I feel like it's one of those features that can be expanded on in the future to be made more interesting. I want to start by saying that adding new archaeology areas in the desert temple and the desert well was a great idea. New features incorporated into old ones, you love to see it. But I gotta talk about the trail ruins. Look, the first one you excavate, it is kind of fun, but as soon as you start the second one, they become super tedious. Archaeology is just missing something to make it actually engaging. Sitting there brushing all day is kind of boring, honestly. And the loot tables at the trail ruins is just atrocious. It's not even rewarding to slowly dig through stacks and stacks of gravel to find a candle. Even the unique items like the armor templates and the sherds are not really a good incentive unless you just want to collect all of the smithing templates and the sherds. I don't know what they can do to make archaeology more interesting. I mean, it's not like archaeology in real life is action-packed, but I mean, I don't know, they could add dungeons or new useful items, just something. It's a fantasy game. I think archaeology is just something they kind of added at a whim because the sniffer won the vote, and as a result, it didn't get a chance to get developed much. I'm just hoping we get some more interesting archaeology features in the future. Back to a simple feature, hanging signs. And what a nice new variation of signs. It's just a fun new block to use. I've already used a few of them in my world because they work great in building entrances. One thing though, did they really need 6 whole logs to craft Mojang? That's just a bit much. Other than that, I pretty much have no complaints with them. While we're on the subject of signs, I guess I'll mention that they made it so you can edit them in this update, which is a great quality of life thing, and you can write on both sides of them, which is nice. There was also a couple changes to mob heads in this update. I'm gonna be real, I completely forgot that they added piglin heads. I haven't even attempted to get one in my world. Another small thing they added is putting mob heads on note blocks makes the mob sound. That's a cool addition and all, but it was weirdly highlighted a lot in the promotion for the update.
Trails and Tales, an update that contains camels, sniffers, archaeology, bamboo wood, chiseled bookshelves, hanging signs, playable mob sounds, and so much more!
It's just kind of sad to see a small thing like that being used as a headline feature. Camels. The sinister useless mob added every update. Nah, but really, the camel is a mob that had a lot of potential, but is brought down because of a few glaring issues. First, we gotta talk about that jump. Now, this is a cool idea to make camels a viable transportation option as opposed to, like, horses. The problem is the fall damage. Almost every time you pull off one of these jumps, the camel takes some sort of fall damage. When I was transferring a camel from a desert village to my base, it had like 2 hearts left. And that's another thing, why do the camels only spawn in desert villages? It's not like horses only spawn in plains villages, it literally makes no sense. Lastly, being able to hold 2 players is a fine idea, but why can't it hold other entities like a boat or a minecart can? That would be incredibly useful for transferring mobs. If they tweaked some things about the camel, like making it more resistant to fall damage, this could be a really good addition. We're at that time, guys. I'm going to talk about the sniffer. I will admit, I was a sniffer voter. I know, but please listen to me for a second. The rascal and the tough golem just didn't seem all that interesting to me. But a mob that you had to excavate and raise yourself to get brand new unique items, that sounded awesome. I honestly thought the whole capturing a sniffer egg and hatching it part would be a bit more involved. I also just really liked the prospect of new plants. So what amazing new features does the sniffer have to offer?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yeah, remember what I said earlier about the sherds being really scarce even though it's a decorative item? This is the same thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go find this one specific structure for a small chance of getting a sniffer egg just to get 2 decorative flowers. 2 decorative flowers. This is just insulting, honestly. In the mob vote, Mojang mentions that the sniffer will give you new plants.
Maybe even get some new plants.
Plants with a plural S. So they went with the bare minimum and gave us exactly 2 new flowers. And the flowers look fine, but for the process you have to go through to obtain them, you would think they would give them some sort of interesting attribute. I mean, come on, the torch flowers don't even give off light. That would have been an awesome way to light up farms.
Actually, the torch flower is based off a real flower that doesn't glow. We've known for months that this would be a purely decorative plant. Stop trying to give everything a use.
Ori! Shut up!
What? I'm sorry. Please don't speak to me like that. I am simply saying that you
Will you
can't
shut
point
up?
out your- Hey!
Shut the hell up! Shut up!
Anyways, if the sniffer's plants have to be decorative only, why is there only 2 of them? How much manpower does it take to make a single flower texture? I mean, seriously, why does the sniffer have to be this lame? Here's an idea. Maybe feeding it will lead you to an archaeology site, like a trail ruin. I don't know. The point is, the sniffer is a borderline unfinished mob, and just further cements the idea for me that the mob vote needs to be discontinued. Sorry about that. I'm sure y'all are tired of hearing me whining about features in a block game for children, so I'll do y'all a favor, and I'll save the best feature for last. Smithing templates and armor trims. I honestly think that without smithing templates, this update would have been total garbage. These things just carried the whole thing. Now obviously, the armor trims are cool. This level of armor customization is crazy, and it makes you much more recognizable on a server where before everyone's skins were just covered in a big old glowy shell of netherite. But what I think is most exciting about smithing templates is just what it opens up for the smithing table. I mean, this block actually does something besides netherite upgrading. While I'm on the topic of netherite upgrading, I might as well get into the netherite upgrade. Now, I actually think making netherite harder to get isn't a bad idea. I mean, it's the best material in the game. The only teensy-weensy problem with that is that if you're playing on a multiplayer server, any close-by netherite upgrades in your nether are going to get gobbled up fast, leaving some players not able to access netherite unless they travel thousands of blocks in the nether. Now, to be fair, not everybody plays on an SMP or with a ton of people, and since smithing templates are duplicatable, I'm sure most people just have the common courtesy to duplicate it and give you one. So yeah, it's not really a huge deal. It's just a possible problem that I thought was worth mentioning. Alright, so that's all the major additions. Overall, I'm giving the content of this update a 6 out of 10. I think it was perfectly average. Nothing here was actively making the game worse, but I wouldn't say there's anything revolutionary either. There were some stinkers, like the sniffer for example, but for the most part, a lot of these features are decent additions. If there's one thing I can say is that almost every feature here has a ton of potential, and with some minor tweaking and a bit more development, it could have made for a great update. Now, I think one important thing to talk about is if these features actually mesh well together. How does this update impact the game in the long run? I'm going to get into how well this update improves the game overall. After all, an important aspect of any update is the vision. Well, I think anybody can kind of tell this update didn't really have a focus. The point of an update is to, update the game and improve upon what they added previously. If you went up to a Minecraft player and asked, hey, what did the Nether update improve? They'd probably say the Nether. If you said, what did the Village and Pillage update improve? They would say the villages. If you ask, what did the Trails and Tales update improve? I'm sorry, Mojang. I doubt the average person is going to say it improved expression and storytelling.
So what we want to do with Minecraft, we want to inspire and enable the players to be creative in their own ways and to express themselves in their own unique, beautiful ways. And in this update, one way we want to do that is to enable self-expression through representation.
My point is, none of these features really go well together. Like with the Nether update, all the features were kinda intertwined together to make it feel like a full update. For 1.20, it just doesn't seem like there was a vision at all. They kinda just slapped stuff onto the changelog until it was enough content for them to release. Because of that, I don't think the update will really have a lasting impression on anybody. So for impact, I'm giving a a 4 out of 10. It could have definitely been worse. Features like the smithing template were really carrying the update when it comes to actual like game-changing stuff, but for the most part, I don't think there's a lot to take away from this update as a whole. Now for the execution of the update, probably the most important part. Did they build up hype well for the update? Did they actually add everything that was announced? As I said in the Minecraft live video I made, almost a year ago, one of the big reasons the wild update was so disappointing is that they straight up just didn't add all the features they announced. Same thing with the cave update. Archaeology was shown off during Minecraft Live 3 years ago, and it's just now being implemented. But for 1.20, Mojang finally stepped up and added everything they announced, and then some. However, the way they went about announcing the update still leaves me confused. A phrase that was thrown around a lot when the wild update was coming out is, the wild update isn't wild enough. And I do agree with that statement, obviously, but instead of Mojang realizing this and actually trying to make a focused update, they said, haha, we're just not going to name the update, so now you can't complain about the content. I really don't think the problem with the wild update was the fact that it was called the wild update. It sucked because it was hyped up to be a big biome update in a trailer or whatever, when really it was just Caves and Cliffs Part 3.
We also want to focus or have focused on biome diversity. So we want to find like a unique identity for different biomes. For example, the birch forest.
I just think announcing a Minecraft update without even giving it a title is just not a great way of fixing this. I honestly didn't see that much hype for 1.20 when it was announced because nobody knew what it was about. Even when it was given a name, Tales and Trails, nobody cared because, come on, what does that even mean? The best way for me to explain it is that 1.20 was a really unfocused update. It feels like there wasn't really a goal for the update when they started. Overall, I'm giving 1.20 a 5 out of 10 for execution. No features were left out. Thankfully, we didn't have a Firefly situation. At the very least, you can see they learned from the whole concept art is not a commitment thing. One thing that they did that I liked was slowly introducing the features as the update was being developed. That was a great improvement compared to, say, the Caves and Cliffs update where they kind of dumped all the features during Minecraft Live, and even then they left some of them out when the update came out. Other than those improvements, hype for the update was just kind of low due to there not being really any great additions here. While this update was coming out, I saw a lot of posts of people saying the update is lame and that they think the sniffer sucks. It's just crazy we've gone from these game-changing updates like the Nether update, Village and Pillage, Update Aquatic, to something so lackluster. To give a final rating for the update, if y'all care about that, I said 6 out of 10 for the features, 4 out of 10 for impact, and 5 out of 10 for execution. That averages to 5 out of 10. So to summarize everything I've been saying so far, it was mid. You gotta ask yourself at this point, like, what is going on? We used to get high quality updates, and now it seems like they're struggling to get something out that's good. Some people say the game is dying. I'm not gonna say that flat out, but there's been a lot of disdain lately for Mojang, and it seems we're in the beginning of just a general loss of interest for the game. In my 2 minutes of research, I pulled up a graph that shows all the searches for Minecraft in the last 5 years. You can clearly see the spike from when the game had a resurgence in around 2019, and it consistently keeps peaking until around late 2021. It's still a very common Google search, don't get me wrong, it just hasn't reached nearly as high as it did a couple years ago. I think the first sign that there was something off was whenever they had to split the Caves and Cliffs update into 2 parts. There was general disappointment when they had to leave things out like Archaeology and the Warden, but these were still good, cohesive updates at least, I think. It's whenever you get to the wild update when things start getting rocky. I remember seeing a lot of memes making fun of Mojang, either calling them soft for the chat reporting and leaving out fireflies because some species of fireflies are poisonous to frogs, or calling them lazy for not adding the birch forest. I'll be honest, I have partook in some of the Mojang slander. I don't usually like insulting the creative forces behind a game and calling them lazy, but like, come on. Anyway, I'm still excited for 1.21. It seems like they're following the 1.20 route and not revealing the name again. Even though the actual update reveal was only like 15 minutes long and an hour-long presentation, I think what we did see is exciting. I'm glad that the themes for the update are a little bit less vague this time, being combat and tinkering, which I assume just means redstone stuff.
So for this year, it's time to focus more on like combat adventures and on tinkering.
I like that they're actually changing their focus from expression and storytelling and telling us an actual aspect of the game, being combat, that they're trying to improve. But once again, why didn't they just name the update? Call it Combat Update version 2 or something. It's whatever. All we can really do is cross our fingers and hope that 1.20 wasn't a sign of bad things to come. I guess you could say I'm hoping 1.20 wasn't a slippery slope.
Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
I'll try to follow up with a more in-depth look at the new update, but in the meantime, watch the videos my buddy Aiden Premium did on the subject. Anyways, goodbye, cancel the mob vote, and I'll see you in 3 months.